Hi everyone. This is the next installment in the GTX series. I have finally been able to finish most parts of the radio, and I'm going to present how this radio works, how this joystick based radio works. Before we do that, I would like to show you this little rig that I made. This has four servos on it, which represent the aileron, the elevator, the throttle, and the rudder. And I've also had another servo in here, which is for the fifth channel. All these servos have been connected to FrSky T8R2 Plus receiver, which is a two-way telemetry enabled receiver. What I'm doing here is that what I'm doing today is that first I would take you through the actual physical appearance of the radio. What are the things inside? I will talk a little bit about the firmware on the radio. And then finally I'll show you how this radio connects, how it binds, and a few other things about what I've done in here. So let me just get into it. The first thing that I would like to show you is how the radio has been organized. So since this is a joystick based radio, obviously there is a joystick in here which controls the elevator, the aileron, and the rudder on the third channel. This is a 3-axis joystick. I do plan to put in a 4-axis joystick which with a button in here, with a push button here, which is going to act like a trainer switch. On this side is the throttle channel. Then I have a couple of switches here, which are so the first three are 2-position switches. So these are for the throttle cut, for the gear, for the for the trainer switch, and this one is a 3-position switch. So that's 0, 1, and 2. We also have some trim ports here. So like on a standard 8-channel radio, most of you guys would have. So any of those Futabas or the JRs or even the Turniquets, the 9Xs, you have a typical 8-channel radio in here. Here are the trim ports. The 3 switches on the right hand side are the actual DRs. So I figured out that it would be useful to have these laid out on the right hand side. So while one is flying, you can actually flip them by this finger, by your ring finger, while you're flying. You will also see 3 switches here which are 5-way navigation switches. So what we have here is we have one 5-way navigation switch controlling 2 axes on the right stick, one 5-way navigation switch controlling 2 axes on the left stick on a typical left stick radio, and the third navigation switch which is here is actually helps you to navigate through the menu. I started with having 2 rotary encoders here, but those have been removed because I found them pretty much useless. On the left hand side of the radio you have another trim port which controls the contrast to the LCD. Then you also have a USB port here which helps you connect to your computer and allows you to update your firmware, or maybe just write the EEPROM settings. You can use companion TX that comes with the OpenTX software to connect to this radio. Internally, the firmware uses an OpenTX version. So that's what's on the radio as a firmware. On the right hand side, what I have is I have a power switch. So the power switch has been specifically placed at this location so it does not disturb you while flying or while controlling any model craft or any model boat or car. So it has been kind of offset to the side of the radio. And finally I have a small GST connector here which connects onto the charger. So you will see that there is a LiPo battery inside that has been put in C2 in the system itself. So when the power switch is on, the LiPo battery powers the radio, and when the power switch is off, the LiPo battery gets connected to the charger port, so you can plug it into your IMAX B6 or any of your LiPo chargers and charge the LiPo battery. So on the back of the radio is the antenna. So this comes with the standard FrSky kit. You can choose to put in any antenna you want. You want a cloverleaf for extra range or video transmission, or you want a bi-directional, whatever antenna you want. You can plug it in here. It has a standard RP SMA connector in here. And finally, this small hole is planned for the actual simulator port. So I plan to put in a mono port in here, a audio mono jack in here, which will allow you to connect your JTX to a simulator. So let's before we move further, I'll just talk a little bit about the firmware on the radio. The firmware is a standard OpenTX firmware. You can choose Companion to download your version and have it programmed in there. I still haven't connected the telemetry ports, but yes, once you connect the telemetry ports, you can practically download the telemetry enabled version of OpenTX and have it programmed on the system. Internally, this uses an Arduino Arduino Mega 2560, and of course you can see all the wiring in here. Right now, I want to use thinner wires, but right now it's a little jam packed in there. But going ahead, I would want to have thinner wires in there. The LCD connects to the main audio board using a standard IDE cable on a hard drive. So yeah, let's take it out for a spin and see how it works. So let me just turn it on. I will turn it on from the power switch here. Once I turn it on, you will see that there is no display right here because the contrast has been turned down. So I'll turn it up again, and you see the familiar OpenTX splash screen. Also, there's a small LED here that is part of the actual FrSky kit, FrSky DIY kit. But yes, this LED can practically be connected to anything you want. That can be a power LED, it can be a bind LED. So yeah, if it's a DIY radio, you can choose whatever you want that LED to show. Right now I'm using the standard LED with the FrSky kit. So we do have a throttle warning. This is something that is still a problem that I'm facing. The throttle is not being read on the bottom side for some reason. So I'll just choose to skip it. And here you see the switch warning. So you can see that if I turn the switches on and off, let me just zoom in a little bit. So if I turn off these switches, you see them actually functioning in here. So this is the gear switch. Then I have the DRs in here. So yeah, that was a warning. So that just went away because I pushed the switch into the right positions. Now in here you see is the actual input screen for OpenTX. The battery voltage is a little out because I haven't really connected the battery probe pins right now on the Mega 2560, but once I do that, the battery level is going to come up correctly. So quickly taking you through the actual controls, you would see that if I move the throttle channel, the throttle works. It's inverted right now, but that can easily be fixed from the menu options. It's the familiar OpenTX interface, so you can program it like you want to. On the right hand side, if I move the joystick about, you would see that. So here it is working on the aileron, on the rudder channel actually. But yeah, that's something that can be programmed from the hardware or from the firmware. On this side, I have it connected up to the actual ailerons. Right now I'm moving the rudder stick, but it's moving the aileron. So yeah, that's obviously configurable via the OpenTX interface. And here I have the elevator. So also let's look a little bit on the trims. So the trims in here, this trim switch, it has got 5 positions like on a standard on one of those older mobile phones where you could navigate the menu using 5 directions. So you could go up, down, left, bottom, and you could press the button in the center. So let's do a little bit of trimming and see how things work. So yeah, I've lost focus. Yep, we're back. So if you see, here I'm trimming the right channel by moving the button to the right. If I hold this switch to the left, it starts trimming towards the left. Now on the same trim, if I move it up, then you see the vertical axis getting affected by the trim. Alright, so let me just connect it to the actual jig that I made and see if things work up. So I have a standard Li-Fi battery here, which I'm going to plug it into the FrSky receiver, and the servos go back to their neutrals. So let's try and check the throttle channel first. That's the throttle channel. This would be the aileron. This is the elevator, and you see here is the rudder. So yeah, right now I also programmed another switch in here for the flaps or the gear, whatever you want to assign it to. But you can see that they get connected. So going inside the menu, you would see that I can actually program these mixes. If I hold this to the right, like we do in standard OpenTX, ER9X, or any other variant of the same firmware, same family of firmware. So here if I go inside model 1, and you would see that I have my mixes to this. So also you would note that since this is a 5-way navigation switch, pressing this button inside works as enter. So if I go on in here, right now 100 is gear is selected at 100 weight. If I press this inside and then I use the up and down, so you can see that it's actually moving, and you can also hear my servo acting accordingly. So if I had to reduce the weight on this, let's try to reduce the weight on this. I'll go inside edit, and you can see what happens to the servo. So this is the gear servo. So here I'm reducing the weight on the servo, and I think I'm on 0 right now. So that's the familiar OpenTX interface working. Now if this button behaves as enter when you press it inside, when you press this behaves as cancel. So while you're flying normally, this button is not going to do anything. It's going to behave like a trim. But when you're inside the menu, pressing it down would work as cancel. And of course the inputs work like we expect them to. I can also show you how the DR works, but right now I would like to keep it short. And going to the next part of the video, let's see how this system actually goes into the range test mode, or how it binds with other receivers. So let me just hold up something that I can use to pry the pin. So right under this LED, the blinking LED, you will see that there is a small push button. It's not really visible because the screen is glossy and I'm losing focus on my camera. But yeah, there's a small push button right under the LED here. So if I keep it pressed, I'm going to go into the range check mode. So if I keep it pressed for 3 seconds, you see the LED has turned green, and now my radio is in the range check mode. So I can take my radio away and it will start beeping. Anybody who has worked with FR Sky or any of the popular radios knows how how the range check works. The second part to it is that let's see how do we bind this radio with a certain transmitter. So I'm going to turn this off. And you see the moment I turned it off, my receiver lost the signal. Let's try and put this radio into the bind mode. To put it into the bind mode, you depress this button and you turn on the radio. And now you see that my radio is in the bind mode. So that flashing LED tells me it's in the bind mode. How do I actually bind it to a receiver? Pretty straightforward. Just press this little button on the receiver and plug this in and plug the battery in. So this is a little fidgety. So yeah, now I see that the blinking LED on the receiver tells me that the bind procedure is complete. I can now turn it on and off, and I'll go back into where my radio will be bound with the receiver. So there we are. I'll again get a throttle warning. I'm trying to fix that, but yeah, there's something that's holding it up, but that shouldn't be a spoiler unless you're planning to fly a quad on this. So yeah, there we go, and we're back to business. Now some more things about the radio. The case is made of acrylic. The case is made of black acrylic. So you can see there's a lot of fingerprints on it. It does look beautiful. However, under the conditions that I'm filming in right now, I know it doesn't really look great. So some changes that I'm planning to do on this radio. For first, these two extra holes are going to be closed up. So I might have get this plate redone. Then the red light that you see, I plan to put a backlight system here. So when the light that you see is going to be edge lighted, and you would see all of that glowing inside the logo. Then I really want to reduce the size of these knobs. They seem a little too big right now. But I don't really like small knobs on the radio. It does have a little retro look, just like one of my friends pointed out. But yeah, that's how it is right now, and it pretty much works. So thank you for watching, guys, and I hope to get this on the field soon and get some field reports to you guys. Thank you for watching.